Imagine if your emotions were actually your allies and not your enemies. Imagine that each and every time you were having a very strong emotional reaction, especially when it's a negative one, it's not here to punish you and it's not here to make you feel bad or to validate the thought that is behind this emotion, but it's here to show you where you do have this thought or belief about yourself and help you finally put a name on it and be able to reconsider and reevaluate the definition that you've had and finally also give it a new meaning. And by giving it a new meaning, also have a new way of interpreting and feeling about it. You know, our emotions don't come from nowhere. And if something or if an event or a circumstance is meaningless for you, believe me, you wouldn't be having any emotion or feeling about it. And you can notice it in your daily life. In so many things that are for you obvious or neutral, let's say taking your coffee or brushing your teeth or taking your shower, it doesn't have any emotion related to it or core belief or feelings or definitions. If not the fact that if I want to go out, I'm going to wear my shoes and my clothes, therefore I'm going to do it and that's it. This thing on itself is just to show you where is it that the fact and the idea that when we are dealing with something that is neutral for us, we do not have any feeling or emotions attached to it. But when we are dealing with a circumstance or a situation about which we already have an opinion, maybe an assumption, a perception of it, a thought about it, a prejudice about it, we are going to have feelings and emotions related to it. They will be somehow triggered through this event or just the thought of it. Let's say you have been through a very difficult, toxic relationship and you have suffered a lot through it. You have been cheated by this person, they betrayed you, they lied to you. Maybe they have been emotionally, verbally, and physically abusing you, and you left them, you escaped from them, and you developed around this experience a lot of resistance, a lot of fear, and you don't want to experience anything similar to this one. So what will happen is that you are gonna, while you are living those experiences one after the other, you are gonna have feelings. Feelings such as being betrayed by someone, cheated on, lied to, disrespected, ignored, so maybe disappointed by this relationship. It hurts you. It hurts you in all the ways. And when you escape it, one thing is sure is you don't want to come back to something similar ever, because it is connected to very negative, heavy feelings and emotions. And your system, biological system, therefore, created a defense mechanism whenever you are going to be dealing with anything that might be in any way, shape, or form similar to that experience. So you will find yourself each and every time when you recall this emotion in your memories, you are going to feel the same emotions repeatedly, maybe stronger each and every time. You talk about it or someone talks about it, and it triggers in you the same emotions because that experience have been really strong for you. It's made a very deep wound within you that was difficult to heal. And you have been protecting yourself from it. And then you meet someone maybe, because as human beings, we do carry hope. We do carry positiveness, and we know that in life there is better for us, and we know that we deserve better, even though we don't want to believe it. But deep down, something within us is always going to push us to put ourselves out there and give ourselves a chance. And we might be nourishing this idea when we meet someone, or when we watch a movie, or when we read a story, or we hear a story. But then we meet someone and we start dating them. But a feeling and an emotion will get there. Some will think that it's our gut feeling or our instinct trying to protect us from something. And we will start sabotaging ourselves. We will start to avoid it by all means. And we will start only noticing what is going to remind us of that wound that we have. And we will be triggering it. And very soon, we will be feeling this familiar feeling, those familiar emotions that we don't feel comfortable with. And in order to avoid having the same experience again, we will run away from it. Our defense mechanism that have been developed around a situation is going to be triggered to defend us, to protect us from reliving the same experience. And you will start sensing it in your body. Maybe you're going to feel a tension. You will feel something in your chest, or you will feel the pressure on your body and on your jaw. And you are gonna only want one thing: to escape far away from it or to hide, because you feel scared. And your body biologically is gonna have the reaction of trying to escape from it or hide from it, the fight or flight response. And we think that it only happens when we are facing a true rational danger, but it happens also in irrational situations. There are scientific and psychological explanations that are really better than mine, but just to be in the context and put you in it, our body have a very unique and amazing system to protect us. And to do so, it's as if he have a filtering system where he organizes things. And when something is dangerous for us, and he know it because we have suffered from it, we have felt a lot of fear around it, or we felt a lot of anger around it, whatever strong emotion that have been provoked around it, our body will filter it as something to avoid because it's a risk for us. So whenever something similar to it is going to happen, he's going to do what he does best, and it is to protect us. For him, it's going to be considered as a familiar situation, but it is a familiar situation of which we need to run away. But our biological system isn't aware, isn't conscious. It works in a subconscious and conscious way, and it's going to be activated very soon. As you might have heard, surely, our bodies knows before our mind and our brain or our consciousness or self-awareness what is happening. And he will start reacting before all of that. So you will find yourself in situations where, for example, if it's a rational danger, you will find yourself first running and then thinking. And it happens in irrational situations. For me, it happens a lot when I am experiencing meeting new people, or meeting families of friends, or starting new jobs or new opportunities, or stepping into new things. And it's all because, for my self-defense mechanism, there have been an association of discomfort around the things, and those things might go wrong, and I might be fired or rejected, and I might be judged harshly, I might be punished. So what it's gonna do is right away, as a very first thing to do, let's get the hell out of here. Let's escape it. So my body is gonna already start reacting. I'm gonna feel the resistance. I'm gonna close myself. I'm gonna put up my armor to protect myself unconsciously. And then I will realize what was happening. All those negative emotions weren't here to warn me and to save me. That could be good if it was a rational fear. If I was facing a true danger, a car accident, or a criminal in the streets, or a lion in the forest. But when it's about things that are similar to experiences that I haven't lived in the most glorious way, so I created around them a bad emotion, because if I have been rejected from 1, 2, 3 or more jobs, I will start to be scared whenever I am about to change the job, whenever I'm going to start a new job, because I will be connecting the dots with what happened in the past. So the negative emotions that I am feeling right now are more about what happened in the past. Now the question would be, does this story, does this meaning, does this negative emotion still is relevant in my present experience? Because I'm sure there is a lot that have changed, especially in myself, my self-awareness, my consciousness, my way of facing things, of choosing things is really different. I am not the same person that I used to be 10 years ago, for example, where I have been maybe fired from a job that 10 years ago I applied for and I wasn't even really wanting to work it, but it was just out of desperation and I needed a job because I needed to survive and I thought that it would be the last opportunity of my life. So no wonder that the person at that time maybe have seen this and she saw that I didn't have potential on that job. And she fired me not because she hates me or because I'm not good enough in the world. It's just because they saw that I wasn't fitting in this job. I wasn't happy. I wasn't giving my best. And of course, for them and their company, they want what is best for them. And they can notice and sense if you are not really fitting in this job. But it doesn't make you wrong. It just makes you not a good fit for them. 10 years ago, that was for me sign of how unworthy I am. A sign that I am a total failure, that I'm going to lose everything in my life, and that my survival is depending on that rejection. And if I have been rejected, that means that I deserve to be rejected. I deserve to be hated. I deserve to be miserable and to lose everything and to not aim the stars, but start small, play small, and look for something even less of what I want because I don't deserve more than that. When in reality, today, with the experiences that I have developed, the self-awareness and understanding, and the fact that in those 10 years and the few rejections that I have had, it helped me to focus more on what I really want rather than just in a desperate way seek jobs and go to interviews and accept whatever job and work there unhappy and desperate and not giving my best or giving a lot too much, which is not right for them and for the position. I have been rejected, to tell you, and to be honest with you, very often because I was overqualified. And they didn't want me in that job. They said, you know what, you really should look for something else and aim for something bigger and better. You are wasted here. We don't think you should stay here. That's why we really feel like we don't want to renew the contract with you. We love you, we love the way you work, we respect you, but we think you should be considering something else. You should be more focused on what you are talented in, what you are good at. This is a waste of your energy and of your time, and you shouldn't be doing it. And yet, it hurts me more than it made me proud of myself or motivate me. But the rejections have been for me empowering. Even though there were a lot of negative emotions connected to them, it hurts me because it's when you are not self-aware and when you are not emotionally intelligent, you didn't develop the skill. And I think a lot of us human beings do not have developed those skills, especially at a young age when we are at our first experiences of life, when we are going to face our worst fears and maybe create for ourselves our worst fears. out of despair, out of maybe traumas that we have had and the stories that we have made around it, we are not at that time able to understand and learn. But it's through time and experience and through resilience, because each and every experience that didn't went the way we expected it to be and we hoped it to be, everything that we lost, even though we believed that it was what we really needed and wanted at that time, afterwards, and maybe you agree with me, you have noticed that it wasn't really what you wanted at that time. It was exactly what you needed, even if it wasn't what you wanted. And what you wanted evolved and changed with the time. And that's what happened with me a lot of times. I thought that what I needed and what I wanted was that job, for example, was that opportunity. Even though it wasn't the best career or it wasn't aligned with my dreams and with what I want to do, I was convinced that it was the only option I have and I have to take it and I have to do everything and sacrifice everything for it. I wasn't aware of how important it is to understand that this life is full of opportunities and that a rejection is simply opening up new doors for us. And each and every time that we are not validated or anything of that matter, it's an opportunity for us to get to know ourselves better, to welcome ourselves better, to listen to ourselves, and to look for who we are truly and what we truly want for ourselves, what we are good at. And I think that the most beautiful lesson that I have learned through all these years was that my emotions are not the enemy. My emotions are here to teach me, to guide me. But it took me a while to understand it because I thought that emotions are the reaction to something that happened, when in reality, it's deeper than that. An emotion at first starts when you give a meaning to a first experience that you've had a certain way. And if I, in my first experience of rejection, made it mean for me that I wasn't enough, and I was scared of not feeling enough, because we are human beings, we crave to feel enough, to fit into something, to be approved by others, to be accepted, to be seen and heard. It's something that we have been craving from our childhood, from our parents, and we need it. We need this to live our life. But it's important also to understand that we will not be approved by anyone, and we shouldn't be trying hard to please others, and we shouldn't buy into the belief and the idea that we are not good enough the way we are. And in order to be enough, we need to act a certain way, to meet people where they are and to meet their expectations in order for us to finally be seen as enough. This concept of being enough is a misconception that consumed me personally a lot, and it conditioned a lot my choices and my life. And I thought and believed that by acting a certain way, by listening to others and trying to fit into their world, maybe I will finally be considered enough and be accepted. And maybe I will finally be respected by others, maybe be accepted by certain people in certain jobs or certain careers, or have the promotions, or have the job opportunity, or the compliments of my bosses or my colleagues. And each and every time I have been rejected, or maybe the promotion wasn't given to me but to someone else, or someone told me you don't fit for this job, you should be looking for something else. You do have the talents and the competence, but you are wasting your time here. I thought I wasn't enough. I didn't read it in a constructive way. I read it through the lens of the person that is never enough and will keep being rejected. And for my survival instinct and the belief system that I had and the story that I have about the fact that it's important for me to survive in this life, something that I go through a lot in the video that I'm going to share with you, you will find it in the link below. It goes through this and it explains how it is that we create meanings around life to the point that we might start defining life as hurtful, when in reality it's not life that is hurtful. Life is neutral. What is truly hurtful is the story that we are telling ourselves about our life and about ourselves. And in this process, I discovered that starting to see our emotions for what they are, teachers, allies in this life that are here to help us start to see through the event and the circumstance that has happened. Learn to listen to the emotion rather than just feeling them and reacting. Because in every emotion is hidden a core belief about ourselves and about that situation. When in reality, this core belief about the situation or about ourselves is based on a past experience that we had about ourselves. We forget that meanwhile, we grew, we learned, we became better, we improved ourselves, and we cannot be the same that we were, for example, 10 years ago. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you have noticed, but in every given moment, in every now of our life, we are evolving. We are improving, we are shifting, and we are becoming a better version of ourselves. Because our perception is flexible and it's becoming larger and larger. And if we came to a point where we really start to seeing and questioning these emotions, rather than hurting ourselves more or being the victims of our emotions, we start to question them. We start to understand, what is this emotion telling me about myself? What is this emotion telling me about what I believe to be true about the situation and about myself? If I am feeling angry because of this situation, if I come to a point where I understand that it's not really about the situation, but it's about something deeper. First of all, it's a meaning that I have gave it. There is a trigger, maybe a past trauma around it, maybe a way that I interpreted things against myself because I was in a place where I perceived myself as not good enough. And I can, from this place where I finally can listen to my emotions and allow them to work with me and start working with them rather than fearing them and avoiding them, I can start to rewrite my story and I can start to welcome this part of myself. Our emotions are something really, really powerful. And I can't say this and highlight it enough. Please understand that in this, I'm not saying that it's going to be easier. I'm not saying that it's going to be obvious and easy and life will be easier. No, it's not going to be easy because we have a very old ancestral habit of avoiding the negative emotions, of reacting to life, as I explained you through the biological defense mechanism that we have as human beings and how strong an emotion can be. And it's because the belief is really strong behind it. It's not easy, but it's worth practicing it. And maybe the first time it's going to be very challenging, maybe impossible. The second time it's going to be a little bit easier. And one time after the other, you will develop this new habit where instead of allowing your emotions to be the guide of your life and to be the guide of your choices, maintain this reactiveness to life and to what happened, and letting your emotions be the master and running the show, but perceived as your enemy rather than your ally, you will slowly start welcoming the emotion. And by welcoming it, I'm not saying that you are not going to feel any negative emotion. But now when you feel it, you have your reaction because it's a very human thing. But you take the time to listen to what it has to say. What is the message that it's trying to tell you? Where is it that you need to apply some updates and upgrades on your definitions and beliefs about anything, and about yourself most importantly? Because you see the world the way you are, not the way it is. And if you have a distorted self-image of yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, if like me, maybe you think that you are never good enough and you are never gonna be heard or understood by others, and you are scared of this rejection and of this cycle because it has been playing an important role in a huge part of your life, rewriting this part is not gonna be easy, but I can tell you that it's worth it. Because, for example, for me, in the love and relationships area, I can tell you that I have been mastering dating narcissistic people. And it's because I have been growing in a narcissistic dynamic in my family and my culture. And I wasn't aware of the narcissistic character or personality. I thought it was the way people are, and I need to cope with it and live with it. And I don't know if you are familiar with narcissistic people, but to go through life and be safe around them, the unique thing to do is to always please them, try to manage their emotions, anticipate their thoughts, and constantly be in the justifying yourself, protecting yourself, and being in alert, because at any time they can completely change their behavior. They can move from the happiest person in the world that loves you more than anything to the person that is gonna punish you and treat you badly for no reason. And the only one that you are gonna question is yourself, because they are in the position of the strong, powerful person, and you are at their mercy. And I never believed I could ever get through it, and I could ever get rid of this thing. I didn't even understand what was I fighting against, what was I dealing with, because I didn't even consider it as an enemy. You grow up in a family where the narcissistic profile exists. It's a way and a habit of living and dealing with people. You need to manipulate people to get what you want. You need to be manipulated to be worthy and be enough and to be validated. Otherwise, you are going to be really rejected by everyone. And it's the worst place to be in when nobody can get you or help you. And I know it from experience. But I didn't only maintain it and experience it in my childhood, but all this story have been following me in my relationships. And I was always wondering, why is it that every time I date a person or I meet it, it seems as if it is the same pattern happening. What is wrong with me? That was my thought. Why is it that they are all equal? And I started thinking that all men are equal, all the same. All men are bad to women, all men manipulate women, and every woman, if she want to be in a relationship, she have to submit to the man, to listen to him, to satisfy him, never fight with him or get in conflicts, and always apologize, even if you didn't get anything, to get through it and just live your life. Because I believe that this is the only frame of relationships that will never exist. But came a moment where I have been in a relation where it wasn't at all easy to handle. I changed country. I changed everything. I became more aware. I was older. I had more experience. I was more aware of myself. I was more willing to save myself, to stand up for myself, to make my point. And I was tired of always having to apologize, to justify myself, to be careful of what I say, to walk on eggshells with everyone, because this is how you can live in a society. And this relationship have been for me a turnover in my life. I have been in the perfect example of a narcissistic pervert profile, And I wasn't yet aware of what it looks like. But all the behaviors, the violence, the abuse, the accusations, the very absurd things that will happen, and the shift of personality and the mood, and the way that it turned from prizing me for something to punishing me for something else. And it would happen in unexpected way. I couldn't even explain it to myself, but yet I would feel wrong. Up until the moment I started searching on Google, believe me, I'm not kidding, I started searching on Google. For example, one of the things that I remember I started Googling was, why do my boyfriend become aggressive with me whenever he drinks, even if it's one beer? Why would he change his behavior with me suddenly? Why would my boyfriend move from loving and caring and nice to jealous and obsessive and paranoid in one moment? What can I do to avoid this violence? What can I do to avoid his aggressive side? And I thought it was me the problem. And those Googlings finally started to show me the same result. Narcissistic abuse, narcissistic pervert. And I started reading them. And for example, how to recognize if your partner is a narcissistic abuser. And I would read it and I would recognize the signs. From the results of Google, there were also articles and videos that will focus on the viewpoint of the victim of a narcissistic, what I was. And they would be giving you indications and signals through what you would be feeling around them. How would you express yourself? And one of the things that was really curious for me was they said that the empath profile is the perfect victim of a narcissistic. And then I discovered what is to be empathetic, what is a narcissistic, what are emotions. What are the emotions that you feel? How can you understand when you are feeling an emotion? How to name emotions? How to understand where someone is making you feel uncomfortable or making you feel threatened or not safe or abused or mistreated or abused physically or mentally or psychologically. Before this, all of that was for me something completely stranger. I thought that men were made in this way and they had to be the alpha man. For me, the definition was he is the stronger, he is the best, and whatever he says, he's right. Don't get into conflicts, and a little bit the figure of my father to resume it in few ways. And I was repeating the same pattern that I was having with my father while I was a kid until my adult age when I decided to move from my country. And all my dates have been similar to that because I was attracted and attracting that profile. And no wonder I was attracting it because it is the only thing that I can perceive and see through the lens of my beliefs and what I thought to be the only truth. And I don't think I was ready at that moment to meet a healthy man. A loving, romantic, awesome man. I wouldn't be able to recognize him, and I wouldn't be able even to stay with him. And thanks to all those experiences from my father to the last narcissistic person I have been with, I have learned a lot. The way my mind and heart and spirit have been expanded is something I cannot even describe to you. And what I am thankful to is all those experiences. I don't believe that without all those experiences, all those struggles, all those meanings and traumas, and all those negative emotions, I would have been able to be where I am today and learn all the things that I have learned and be able to apply them and finally manifest for myself a person that is healthy. I wouldn't have been able to recognize it or appreciate it or be with it because I myself was toxic, intoxicated by the mindset I was in, the belief system I was in, the miscellaneous and mixture of emotion that I was in, and the lack of self-awareness. That's why I want you to really consider that your emotions are really your allies. And now, what I can tell you, I want to add it to this, because emotions might confuse us. They might blurry our vision, and we might not be able on the moment where we are in our spiral of emotions, be able to think and see in a clear, wise, and calm way. Because we are fogged by our emotions. If you are angry, you are not able to reason, you are not be able to speak or to breathe or to make anything. You don't make decisions out of anger or out of sadness or out of despair, as I did when I was looking for a job. I was desperate, so I would be doing things out of desperation. And if you see life the way you are, and in the moment you are a desperate person, guess what? You will see and have a desperate life. You need to go to a place where you have more clarity. It's fine to have the emotions, because as I said, without what I have been through and the stories that I've made for myself, I wouldn't be able to get where I am today. They saved me on that moment, because my empathy, my fear, my worry, my vigilance, and my way of dealing with people, I developed the empathy through living with a narcissistic father. And it's not narcissistic, the profile of the pathology and the psychology, but the narcissistic behavior. It's important to differentiate them, even though I'm not a psychologist. But I was able to learn a lot about it, honestly. And whoever have been through all the similar relationships can agree with me that when you are in them, it develops a huge curiosity about behaviors, and especially your behavior, and it develops in you a huge interest on emotions and emotional intelligence, because your only way out of it is through becoming aware of your emotions. Because when you become aware of your emotions, you start to recognize when you are not in safe place, when you are not treated well, when your boundaries have been crossed, where your expectations have not been met, where you weren't able to express your needs or to express your emotions, so to say, generally, and to be able to say no to what is not working for you, or to defend yourself, or not get into their frame. Because in the other thing, by the way, was that all those toxic relationships, those narcissistic profiles I've had in my life, they helped me to develop empathy. And the empathy of person that have been through a lot of manipulation, a lot of narcissism, a lot of accusations and lack of validation of people, and the fear of dealing with people, because you are afraid you might be punished by someone for anything. Sometimes it develops on you a huge skill of observing people and being able to anticipate their move, their words, their feelings, their emotions, and be able to find a way to navigate them. Because when I was younger, I didn't want it to be punished all the time, especially when the punishment is physical and you suffer from it. There is a time where you don't want it anymore. So when you start anticipating people and reading them, you are able to anticipate everything and be protected. But when you are with a narcissistic partner, as I was with this partner, the last narcissistic person I've had in my life, it was difficult even to anticipate their moves and to be in the safe, small space where I was, because you have to play it very small with them. Because any move, any word, sometimes just your breath, just your joy, whatever decision you make might create a war in your life. And in a narcissistic relationship, it's not easy to always anticipate everything. And maybe I think the struggle have been more powerful than was any of my beliefs or any of my emotions and convictions, to the point that it pushed me to finally open my eyes and start focusing on myself rather than the other person, and stop trying to change them or to change myself for them, and finally understand that I need to stand up for myself. And to stand up for myself, the first thing was to start to notice my emotional signals. They were the thing that was able to finally let me understand whenever I was feeling fear, whenever I was feeling frustration, anger, loneliness, sadness, and being in danger, start to noticing it and understanding and listening to what it's trying to tell me, up to the point where I finally find the courage to say, you know what? I know today and I understand that it's not the only way in life. And I don't want to take this anymore. And I finally become aware of what is a pattern, what is a habit, what is a belief system, and start to accept that my reality is in my hands. And finally also grasp that I don't see life as it is, I see it as I am. And this doesn't mean that there is something wrong with me. It just means that I am invited to discover who I am, to know myself. Who am I in this moment? Who am I in this version of myself? How am I feeling? And through how am I feeling, I can understand what am I believing to be true? Why do I keep feeling these emotions? What is the story that I have that is keeping me in this negative spiral of emotions? What is it trying to protect me from? And what is the other option I do have? And open my mind to see them. And that is how I, at least in my relationship and love area, I was able to become a better version. I am self-aware, which is really amazing. I'm not perfect. I still have my traumas. I still have my negative emotions. They still rise up, they come up, because being through years of narcissistic relationships and abuses in your life cannot be erased in one moment. Maybe it will never be erased, but at least you are developing self-awareness. And now you can understand where a fear is coming, where a fear of being rejected, of being judged, a feeling of a shame about yourself, or a feel of embarrassment, of unworthiness is coming. And you can unpack the story behind it and find evidence of something different for yourself. So what I want to leave you with in this video is that your emotions are your allies. Just open your mind, open your heart, welcome them in your life, and see what they have to tell you. Learn about them as much as you can. Be passionate about the topic of your emotions, your self-awareness, your beliefs, and the stories that you tell yourself. The world is full of amazing informations that you can go and learn about, because believe me, the more you are going to know about yourself, the more you are going to realize that you know nothing about yourself. And the more you are going to learn how you see the world, the better you are going to be able to see it. You are going to change your perception. And it's such a comfort and a peace to know that I don't see life the way it is, but I see it the way I am. Because I finally understand that I do have the power to create my reality, to choose how I want to see life. And the only thing that I need to work on is myself, because all of this life is a mirror, a reflection of myself. And if I want this life to smile to me, I have to be the first one to smile. Isn't it amazing to finally realize that it have always been about you, that you are in the driver's seat, and that you can really change everything? Because life is neutral. Circumstances are neutral. And whatever you believe today to be true can be a different truth. And you will always, if you are willing to, find evidence of what you want to believe to be true for yourself. Really hope you found value in this video. If it's the case, please let me know in the comments. Share with me your takeaways. How are you dealing with your emotions? What do you think about the fact that your emotions are not your enemy, but your allies? And how is it improving your life and the patterns of your life and beliefs? And don't forget to watch my video around the fact that it's not life that hurts, it's something different. You will find it in the description below or in the end screen. Thank you very much for your time, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Much love.